Hello, today I'll be talking about uncertainty and why you must learn how to embrace it and how it is prevalent in our entire universe and why it is a fundamental force, a fundamental part of each and every person's life. And I'll dissect it fully. I'll try to convince you why uncertainty is the only certainty in our entire universe. Well, the first thing that you have to realize is that each and everything in this universe is probabilistic. So you can't possibly expect your brain to flawlessly work out all the possibilities and all the probabilities. First, that's not possible. Second, I don't think we realize how stupid our brain is. And I'm not excluding myself. Like, I'm an 18-year-old. What the hell do I know? Right? Like, I don't know anything. And I'm stating this. It's a fact that I want to admit that I don't know anything. And I want to reinforce this because reinforcing this can really liberate you from a lot of worries and a lot of anxiety and a lot of issues, right? So it's a trap. Uncertainty is a trap. Your mind can never ever reach perfect certainty about anything, whether it's morality, whether it's your health, whether it's relationships. You simply can't predict the future, and the sooner that you realize this, the lesser anxious you become, the lesser controlling you become. You become lesser of a control freak, and you have to realize that you have to make flexibility your safety net, not control. You just have to learn to flow with it. It's like a surfer. Like, you have to imagine yourself like a surfer riding the waves. So you only have to ride the waves, you only have to surf the waves, you don't have to control the ocean. Well, there are three brain circuits that are involved in the process of uncertainty, in the process of dealing with uncertainty. Well, there's this predictive function which consists of the amygdala, which detects all the fear and all the threats, right? And then there's the anterior cingulate cortex, which detects the error and conflict, like if you get into a fight, if anything is going on in your life. And then there's the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational control and decision making and focus and each and everything else. This is all the neuro neurodiagrams, the neurobiology of it. And you can also see that uncertainty is really prevalent in nature. Like, if you see, yeah, this is a very interesting thing. This is Gödel's incompleteness theorem, which is a very famous theorem in mathematics. And it basically says that any consistent mathematical system contains truth that cannot be proven within that system. So if a consistent mathematical system cannot be proved, have some truths that cannot be proven within that system, so imagine how inconsistent our universe is. So it's not possible at all to predict the future and to live with absolute certainty, right? And then there's also probability theory, there's fuzzy logic, and the entire field of AI and quantum mechanics is based on probability and fuzzy logic. This is an interesting thing. This is basically the probability function of finding an electron in a specific orbital, in SPDF orbital, all of that. And there's fuzzy logic, which is a field that my uncle works on, and I'm very proud of having him as uncle. And he's a brilliant man. He's a great man, and I wish I can be even half the man that he is. So fuzzy logic is basically some is a branch of mathematics that deals with degrees of memberships and not absolute truth and false statements. And this is the name of my uncle. And he really boosted this field. Like, he contributed a lot to fuzzy logic. Just a fun fact. Well, then how do you embrace it? You have to realize that awareness expands when you stop fighting against uncertainty, and when you stop clinging on to certainty. So what you have to do is, first, the best way to boost awareness is to meditate. Any form of meditation will work. Even walking in nature would work. That is also a form of meditation, I'd say. So what you have to do is, these are the steps. You have to recognize the urge. You have to be aware of the urge, and then you don't have to engage with it. You have to just go on a walk. Do anything else. Just don't fight with it. Don't buy into the troll, right? And you have to sit with the discomfort. You have to train your and this trains your brain. This is essentially the whole core of exposure response prevention therapy. You have to sit with the discomfort. You have to. It will be painful. It might be painful. It might not be painful for some, but because see, you're fighting against your belief systems. So obviously it will be hard, right? It will be hard to resist it. But the more that you sit with the discomfort, the more your brain uh, gets, like, rid of the idea, and it gets rid of the clinginess to certainty. And you have to, like, start small. And there's also a very interesting option, which is shadow work. This is a part of uh, Jung's theory. And I also talk about what Jung had to say about uncertainty, right? So these are just the simple steps. I've not really gone into detail on this, because this is something that you have to practice more than actually read the theory, right? Anyways, I'll also talk about what Carl Jung had to say about this. Carl Jung was a very famous Russian psychologist, and he was a pioneer in like knowing about the brain and understanding about how the mind works. More about the mind than the brain. Mind and brain are two different things. That is another topic that I'll discuss later. Well, Jung believed that uncertainty is essential for individualization, right? And it is a core, it is a part of you that you have to confront. It is like the shadow of you. He said that, like, the true psychological growth happens when you confront what you don't know about yourself, or about your life, and rather than clinging on to what you know. And he had a quote: there is no coming to consciousness without pain. It will be painful, but you have to do it.